and thank you for joining. I'm Dominique Moss, the founder of the Return Hub, and I'm here again today to talk with my friend and colleague Helen Cowan, who will hopefully be sending me a request to join this meeting at any moment. There she is. Hi, Helen. Hi. Hello, everyone. Hopefully she's going to send me a request to join. There we go. View request. Good. And hopefully she'll be with us any second.
Helen, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Do you know, I'm good. Apart from the fact that is it the 5th of July? It's early July, and I'm sitting here in a polar neck.
Yes.
And my heater is next to me.
Yes.
But apart from that, I'm absolutely fine and just waiting for the summer to arrive. But thanks so much for joining me for the latest in our Skills to Navigate the Workplace series. Always wonderful to be chatting with you, Helen.
Pleasure.
This week, we're going to be talking about preparing to go back to the new world of work and the things that we think we should be doing and potentially everyone should be doing in really getting themselves ready emotionally, mentally, practically to start thinking about the new world of work and what that's going to be like.
Yes. And I haven't met anyone that doesn't feel daunted by this. Yeah. Isn't that strange? I haven't met anyone that doesn't feel that this is a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's right. Partly because it's probably somewhat of an unknown, isn't it? I mean, I'm having lots of conversations with all sorts of companies about what is that new world of work going to be like. And some have got it nailed down and sorted. Some were going down the fully in the office, we're an office culture kind of mode a month ago, and now I've switched to actually we're going to do something a bit more hybrid. And others I think are still kind of figuring it out and saying to everyone, let's everyone come back to the office, but once we're there we'll discover what actually works well and what everyone's needs are. I don't know, what are you hearing?
A complete mixed bag, and an acknowledgement that we can put all the rules we like in place, but if you have a boss that wants you in the office in your department, then that's probably what's going to happen. And a sense that we just kind of have to work out whether we will make this work. If everyone comes in 2 or 3 days a week, is that really going to be effective? So it's a little bit of sort of suck it and see. And the beauty of lockdown was that everyone had rules that were very clear that we all had to adhere to. And now this feels very uncertain, as you say. What we're going into is uncertain, which then leads to a bit of worry and anxiety and problems down the line.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah. So I guess we're sort of here today to sort of think about how do we deal with that uncertainty. You know, there is going to be a period of adjustment, definitely. It's just kind of to what degree is that adjustment going to affect ourselves emotionally, mentally, and kind of practically. And so in thinking about this topic, we sort of thought we'd break it down into those different areas, didn't we? Sort of think about, you know, what do you have to do mentally to kind of get yourself in the zone? And, you know, in many ways, I think it's really exciting thinking about going back into the office, seeing our colleagues, you know, might have already been seeing them a bit, but sort of getting back into that kind of regular routine. And, you know, I definitely think if someone said to me, you know, the next 10 years of your career are going to be sitting in this seat at this desk at my home, I'd probably burst into tears.
Yes, quite right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's what can we do mentally to get ready? And I'm always fascinated by the parallels with people who've had a career break or have had maternity leave, and how if you've never had maternity leave or you've never had a career break, this is what it feels like, because you are unsure of what you're going back to. There is a level of anxiety for some people, even things like, how am I going to get that train and navigate the tube? These are things everyone did on autopilot, and yet they become bigger deals. So there's something about your mindset before you go back so that you're mentally prepared. But I want to make that point really clearly, that if you've never been on mat leave, this is what it feels like to come back after a long period of absence. It's not easy.
It's not easy, and it's a really great parallel. And I'm going to slightly borrow a little bit here from the military, who have this sort of 6 Ps, don't they? I'm actually going to go to 5 because one of them is a bit of a rude word, about perfect planning prevents poor performance. And I think thinking in those terms about how to plan, how to get ready, how do you prepare to go back into this new normal, whatever that might look like. And you're absolutely right. There's the kind of, there's the practicalities, how is your office even in the same place? And I say that sounds crazy, doesn't it? But we've had actually a number of clients who've either moved offices during lockdown, because that was kind of pre-planned before the pandemic struck, or they've totally refurbished their office, or they've, we've obviously seen in the papers lots of companies rethinking what their office space is going to be used for. And, are they going to be moving to something more flexible and taking on, is that kind of what the infrastructure, the physical space that you're actually going into going to be the same? And, that can be really exciting, but also it can be a little bit like, oh, it's a lot of change. And this isn't the place that I've felt familiar with. This isn't the place that was my place of work anymore. And how has that all changed? So I think, sort of finding out about what that place of work is looking like, how's it, hopefully companies are doing their bit as well and sort of communicating to their employees, these are the changes that we've made. This is what you can expect to see when you go in, whether it's kind of COVID compliant offices or, a totally different use for the office.
Yeah. And when I'm coaching women coming back from a break of some sort, we often do a bit of a visualization of what's it going to be like. And it's hard to visualize actually if you don't know what the office looks like. But it's a really good way to mentally prepare. So even if you don't know exactly what it looks like, or even if you're going to the same office but not sitting at the same desk, which is probably likely. Yeah. And this might sound bizarre, like why would you visualize going back into the office in quite a detailed way? And it's interesting to know that athletes, when they visualize their races, it has a tangible impact on their actual race performance. So bear with me when I say take 5 or 10 minutes out to imagine you're watching a video of yourself doing this journey into the office for the first time. Literally, what are you wearing? What's the look on your face? Who are you seeing as you walk in? What does it look like? How do you go from reception up to your desk? And you sit down and you really visualize in the best way. So if this was the best possible outcome, what would it look like? And then think about 3 words that will best describe you on that day. What 3 words will describe you if you are getting the most out of this return? And that doesn't have to be, I've been a superhero all day, because most people do not feel like that. But it could be, I've been interested, I've been open, I've been curious about other people, I've made connections.
Yeah.
But I think this comes down to the why. Why are you going back in? What is it that you can get out of it? And I think that adds a bit of excitement to the thought of going. What do you want to get out of it?
Yeah.
What's going to make it great for you?
That's such a good point, isn't it? To be on the front foot and to be kind of alert and energized by it and thinking, what are the opportunities that this is going to throw up for me? And just even as you say, just thinking about what you're going to wear. I mean, a friend of mine was in London last week, and he said, look, there seem to be hardly any men wearing suits, which really struck him, because obviously normally that wouldn't be the case. And I wonder what the implications are going to be for a kind of working wardrobe, and how does that make you feel? And, it might seem a bit sort of flippant, but actually I think, putting that uniform on that is your kind of professional self and striding out, stepping out and feeling like you're stepping into your work self again. And that's not to say obviously everyone hasn't been their work self, but obviously you've been in slightly different circumstances. That can be quite empowering, I think. And I sort of slightly wonder as well, is it an opportunity to make a new first impression? I don't know.
I absolutely agree. And the times that I've been into London, I have definitely put my work wardrobe on.
Yeah.
I've loved it. I mean, there's so many things in my wardrobe I've not got to wear. So I've loved it. You feel different. And I absolutely love this idea that it could be a different first impression. The same with maternity leave. We say to women that we're coaching, there is an opportunity to reset how you work and what people think about you when you go back. There's an opportunity to work in a slightly different way, where that's how you greet people, how you are in meetings, what connections you make, all those sort of things. You have a brilliant opportunity, simply because it's very hard to say to yourself on a Friday night, right, on Monday I'm going to be a completely different person, and then to come in on Monday. But if you've had time out in the way we've all had working from home, you can go back in and be slightly different. So be conscious of that, because awareness is the first step to change. Being aware of how you want to be means you're more likely to be it in the moment.
Yeah. And all of us probably, I don't know, maybe do feel a little bit changed by what's happened over the last year. and you know, absolutely worth thinking about. And then I think the other thing as well is as to how to prepare those around you for the changes that are going to happen, you know, your family. And you know, have you got, if you have got children at home who've been very used to you being very at home and, you know, doing pick up and drop off more, or just, you know, just being around a lot more, you know, how do you talk to them about the adjustments that are going to be made for your life as you're spending more time in the office and perhaps less at home? And I think that's also, you know, really important to think about, so they feel like they understand what's going to be happening and the change. And that might be a bit easier if for some people that going back into the office is going to be more around September time, because obviously summer holidays will be there and then that will be done, and you know, they'll be going back to school if they've got school age kids. But maybe there's also some preparations to do about your partner, you know, if they've been expecting you to be around, you know, if you've been together a lot of the time, and you know, that's going to change as well.
I was coaching someone this morning. Our husband has his own business, and he's been very, one day he'll be in the office, the other day won't you? He'll make, he's very live each day as it comes, and she's returning to the office next month.
Lucky him.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I need a bit more of a structure. So I'm coming back off mat leave, and I'm going to be working these days, these hours. And ideally, when I can, I'm going to the office in these days. Physically going to the office. And you know, it's really important for her to have a conversation with him so that she can do that and there aren't any problems later down the line. But I think also, don't assume that people know, especially children, they don't assume that they know what's going on. Be really clear, have a conversation about what's going to make this work.
Yeah, well, that's right. And for you know, for many of them, you know, especially if they're young, you know, this is taken up quite a large percentage of their life. I mean, certainly for our children, I think, Helen, who are, you know, at that age when, you know, of course they can remember what it was like before, but this has been their sort of reality, and you know, getting a bit of a perspective on how things might go back to normal, or not even normal, but you know, be different again. Is you know, there's bound to be a period of adjustment for them too. Absolutely. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to prepare my dog though. I think I'm not sure that's ever going to work. I think she's been like my little shadow for the last 18 months. But anyway, I'm sure that's going to be a problem familiar to everyone. I did actually speak to the vet about it the other day, and she said you've got to speak to an animal behavioural expert to kind of, you know, get them used to separation anxiety. So I'm sure they're going to be run off their feet, these people, with all the lockdown puppies and everything. But yeah, lots of kind of preparation to do. And I don't know, I'm sort of wondering what other things there are that are in common with a return following maternity leave. And you know, obviously the sort of striking thing is that communication with your team and your boss, and how you make sure that they're also, you know, that communication is good, and you know, that they understand what it is you're wanting to get out of it, and not making assumptions on your behalf about what you want to do. And you know,
that's the big thing. It's the assumptions that can be made about you and what you're going to do and how you're going to be. And you're making assumptions about your boss and the rest of your team. The other thing I would say though is use this as an opportunity to expand your network. So you're going into the office. How can we, even if you're a massive introvert, how can you use the time in the office to have a coffee or connect in some way with someone who is important to you and important to your career? You know, it's a perfect time because there's not many people in the office, and the one person in the office happens to be your boss's boss. You know, if it feels right, you might go over and say hello, and that might be, you would never have maybe done that in a previous world. So use this as an opportunity to look at your network and who do I want to connect with in person, because now is the time. It's a great opportunity.
And you have some brilliant advice around networking and about the auditing of your network. I was sort of wondering whether perhaps it might be, you know, you could sort of tell everyone a little bit about that network audit.
Yeah. You know, if you divide your network into your operational networks, these are people who know how to get stuff done. These are people who know the corners to cut. They know about processes. And if you put some people into that bucket, then you think about your personal network. Who are the people that understand you, connect with you at work? They sort of share the same values as you. You might tell them about things that are going on outside of work. And then think about your strategic network. These are people that think really big. They think massive. They're always got some big idea, they're thinking well into the future. You come away from conversations with them thinking, oh my God, I'd never thought about it like that. And I would, all the people you've been connecting with over the last year, and let's face it, that might be a small number for some people, I just put them into those 3 buckets and look at who's missing, which bucket is full and which is emptier. Who would you like to be in one of those 3 buckets? Who would be really helpful to you and you could be helpful to them? And then make a conscious effort to connect with those people. So, and it's saying, I'm thinking back again to maternity leave. When you come back from maternity leave, no one is going to say no to you saying, to you asking for a coffee, because they know, or at least they have an inkling that this is quite a big transition. And it's the same here. You know, I've been out there for a while, I'm coming in. If you're in on this day, can we meet for a quick coffee?
Yeah.
Use this to expand your network.
And I think, you know, lots of people are really kind of slightly crying out to meet people face to face and really looking forward to an opportunity, because obviously everyone, unlike when you're coming back from maternity, where you perhaps, you know, you're probably the only one, you might be in a minority of 1 or 2 maybe. This is going to be true for pretty much everyone, bar those maybe small number of people who've been in all the way through. So everyone is in the same boat. And I think this all ties in as well to career development. And obviously you and I have spoken a lot, and most of what we talk about is about career development, but sort of specifically about what's happened to career development for so many women over the last 12, 15 months, and how, you know, it has fallen off the radar as a priority, even though that we know that for many women it is the number 1 priority, but just practically it hasn't been able to be the number 1 priority. Because of juggling, you know, online school and domestic responsibilities and working from home and all of that. And, you know, I think it is an opportunity for those of you who are going back into the office and going back into the, you know, the new normal, for want of a better cliche, to think about how that can help you refocus on career development. And, you know, how do you do that, and what are the steps you need to take in order to sort of begin to think about putting your foot to the floor again, if you know, if that's what you want to do and you feel like, you know, the time is right. And I think it is really important for everyone to think about that, to think about, you know, is now the right time to put my foot back on the gas, and how do I do that? Because there's no doubt that a lot of ground has been lost for so many people in career development, you know, over the last 18 months. And there was a piece of research that I saw recently that was done in America that said there were 2.2 million women had left their jobs as a result of the pandemic between February and October last year. And that's obviously those that have left their jobs. You know, there will be millions who just have been holding on to their jobs, you know, never mind career development. So I think that is one of the important things to think about in focusing on that return to the office.
Yeah, and many women have been just keeping the plate spinning, trying to keep everything going with childcare and homeschooling and everything that's been going on. And the question I would ask is now the time for you to push ahead? And I think lots of people will be, I just want to get into the office and do this and then think about it. You know, I just need to find my feet. And I would, I don't know, I kind of urge my clients, if there's even an inkling of wanting to get ahead, to be vocal about that. Say that you want to get ahead, ask for help, ask for support, get on a training course, ask for coaching, you know, whatever it is, but be vocal about what you want.
Put yourself forward for that pitch, you know, put your hand up for that presentation. You know, all of those things that might have felt too much over the last, you know, during the pandemic. You know, is now the time to sort of grasp the metal and say, yeah, I'm going to put my hand up for that.
Yeah, and you can put your hand up and say, by the way, I'm terrified of doing this, but I'm putting my hand up because I you know, this is something I need to do. Will you help me do it? But I really do want to do it, and I need to do it. So it doesn't have to be, I'm going to do this and it's all going to be fine. We can ask for help and be conscious and intentional about wanting to get ahead, but also being honest that we find it difficult because it's been a while.
Yeah, but I do think though that it's also a time when people, many of you might be thinking, you know, okay, we've sort of got through this pandemic and, you know, it's been all right. And yes, it's been really super busy and juggling a million things, but fundamentally that energy that you get from other people that you haven't been able to get can make things feel a bit Groundhog Day and a bit boring. And I'm not sure whether boring is the right word, because obviously that's perhaps doesn't describe a kind of fast-paced, very hectic environment, but it can be a little bit samey. You know, you don't sort of get that sort of the drama and the excitement. You know, it's just busy and full on and all the rest of it. And I think there is something to look forward to in terms of regaining some of that excitement about being with other people, and also putting yourself out of your comfort zone. And, you know, as we sort of said, putting yourself forward for that presentation or pitch or whatever it might be, and thinking it's that slight mix of fear and excitement at the same time.
Yeah, and fear and excitement are very close together as emotions, very close. There's only a few nudges and you're into one or the other. And so if you're saying I'm feeling fearful, replace it with I'm feeling excited. Say it out loud, because there will be a part of you that is excited, because that's what fear can do to us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can see we've already gone over our 20 minutes, but there's always so much to talk about with you, Helen. But I'm just going to slightly, I think, sum up, and, you know, feel free to add any bits I've missed. But really, it's about thinking about your preparation in the sort of the ways of, you know, the emotional, the mental, the kind of professional, and the practical.
Yes.
And I think thinking what is it that you need to do around those 4 elements will really help people do their 5 Ps.
Yeah, and the final thing I would just add is that when people go back off mat leave, it's often just a matter of days, if not hours, before they start to wonder what they were ever worried about. Because sometimes the worry of the return can be much more than the actual return, way more. I would just try and bear that in mind.
That is so true. That is an absolutely brilliant point to end on, is that it's going to be a lot better than you think. And you know, that's such a great kind of positive a tip and thing to hold on to. So there's loads more conversations that everyone can watch Helen and I having on all sorts of career related topics, from resilience to networking to pay rises and promotions, that you can find on IGTV, on the Return Hub and the Tool Wall Instagram accounts. If anybody has any other topics they'd like us to discuss next time, please do put it in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much, Helen. Lovely to see you. Pleasure. And hopefully see you all again soon.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.